Hello, today we're going to go through PowerSchool, the administrative portal, teacher portal, and parent portal, as well as the parent mobile app to give everyone an understanding of some very basics on how PowerSchool works. So I'm going to start in the administrative portal and I'm going to log in as my user. The administrative portal in PowerSchool is where everyone who works in the office, so principals, secretaries, counselors, this is the way that you will access PowerSchool. So you can see the interface is very clean and easy to understand. If I'm searching for students, I'm going to search with the Students tab. We also have a Staff Search tab. If I'm looking for parents who have parent accounts set up, I can use the Parents tab as well. So it makes it very easy to find students. We have a single search field that's very functional. So first of all, if I'm simply looking for a student, I can begin by typing their last name, like AK, and notice as I type more of the student's name, it will trim that list down. I can also use the keys on my keyboard. I don't have to revert to my mouse in order to select the student I'm looking for, and simply hitting return will pull up the student's record. And this is where we're seeing that full student record, everything that we need to have available to us on an individual student. So PowerSchool is really centered around the idea of finding a student, like we have here, or a group of students and deciding what to do with them. And we'll see the searching for groups of students in just a moment. Now, once I've pulled up a student, down the left-hand side are all the different screens that I can see on an individual student. Now, they're all permissions-based, so if I should not have access to a certain area on the left-hand navigation, we call those the student screens, then based upon my role within PowerSchool, I will not even see those links on the left-hand side, which does two things. One, it makes the navigation much easier for the end user. If I'm the school nurse or the school health professional, I may only have 5 links there. It makes it very easy for me to navigate, but also it keeps the information secure. PowerSchool is very focused on security, and security can be set up either at the page level or at the field level when it comes to student information. So security is very, very important to us at PowerSchool, as it is for you folks as well. So let's check out some of these different functional areas. First, the quick lookup screen is the snapshot of how the student is doing in the current classes they're taking, and then the different grades they're receiving in their marking periods, as well as the attendance for each of those courses. We see a quick look of the last 2 weeks of attendance as well. Now, this screen is very important. We will see this screen in every area of PowerSchool. The teachers have access to it as well as the parents. So when parents log into PowerSchool, they see everything on a single screen as far as their classes and grades and attendance. But the important thing is that you as administrators and teachers see exactly the same view that parents do. So if there are some problems that parents are calling in on, it's very easy for you to track those down. So we're going to move to a few other areas of PowerSchool. For example, the demographics area. So if I have permissions to change any of this information, and I can go ahead and modify, let's say, the father's phone number. So I'm going to say that it's 9999, and I can go down to the submit button, or I can simply hit return, and it will change that phone number. However, Ashley in this case does have a sibling someplace in the district or within the installation of PowerSchool, and it's prompting me because Ashley is linked to other family members, asking me, do you want to make that change consistent across family members? And I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I'm going to just submit on this screen. I could uncheck that box on the top and not make that change for a student. So we want to make sure that that information stays consistent across family members, and our family management in PowerSchool does just that. So some other areas that are of interest possibly to you would be the cumulative information page, where we can display multiple GPA calculations, whether it's simple, weighted, cumulative. We can also have class rank displayed here as well. And with PowerSchool, we're going to be able to use your quality points in relation to the courses that are offered to calculate the class rank appropriately. So we're going to have that as a part of the course setup, And then when those grades are stored, we'll be able to calculate that based upon the marking period, semester, and year long for the proper calculation of the class rank at the diocese. Some other areas that are interesting in PowerSchool: if I'm a counselor and it's time for me to modify that schedule, I can come down to the Modify Schedule screen and I can make adjustments based upon the effective date. So when we look at this effective date, I can go ahead and change that date and pre or post date the changes that I'm making on the screen. So there's a number of ways that I can interact with this screen as well, but again, it makes it very easy for me as a counselor to make adjustments to the student schedules during the course of the school year or at the beginning of the school year. So I'm going to go back, click on the PowerSchool symbol on the top. That's going to take me back to my landing page, which is our search page. The very first search that I did, I searched for Ashley. Now that search, that student will follow me around the system until I make a new selection. So let's look for a new student. Actually, let's look for a group of students in this case. Now, I could click the 9 to select all 9th grade students. I could select the 12 to select all 12th grade students, all male or female students, or all of the students within my building, which is my current context. If I move to the upper right-hand corner, you can see that I am currently in the high school. And this is my term that is my context. So I can change those contexts by clicking on the menu and selecting maybe the district office so that I can see all of the students in all of the buildings that are currently configured at PowerSchool. But let's go ahead and just do a simple search. But one thing I did want to mention is also the stored searches and stored selections. So if I have multiple criteria that I'm searching for students and it becomes a little complex, other people can create stored searches for you, so you can go ahead and run those complex searches just by clicking the search that you're looking for, but also the stored selection of students. If there's a group of students that I work with very often, I can save them as a stored selection, give them a name that I recognize, and then it makes it very easy for me to pull those students up regularly. But let's take a look for the football players. So just as I started typing Ashley's last name of Aiken, I'm going to start typing the word football. And as I continue to type, we're going to see that list get shorter. I'm going to go down to the data element of football, and I'm going to use the does not equal to 0 or blank, and it's going to show me the 36 students who are flagged as being football players within that activity. So one of the things that I do like to point out is that as you learn PowerSchool, the searching techniques, that is another thing that you will learn as well. And if you have any questions, we do have the help right on the screen that will show me not just different search techniques and the different comparators like does not equal, the one that I was using, but also some clear examples of how I can search for all of the students, let's say in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, using the in comparator. So the help screens are built directly into PowerSchool and very useful. So I'm back to my 36 students, and this is a common workflow that a secretary might have. Remember, I've just found a group of students and now I need to decide what to do with them. So I'm going to use our functions menu on the bottom right hand corner, and the very first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and print a report. But these are all of the things that I can do with these 36 students in mass. So I'm going to go ahead and print a report, and I'm going to find a report that's on our server, and I'm going to call list. Now your list of reports may be slightly different. This is where I can run transcripts, where I can run report cards. Many of the reports in PowerSchool are shared, so if there's a report that I'm looking for that I don't have, I can go out to our support site, PowerSource, and there are literally thousands of reports that are shared from districts who are using PowerSchool today. And all I need to do is find one, download it, import it into my PowerSchool, and I have immediate access to it. So let's go ahead and run that emergency contacts for our field trip. I'm going to print all 36 students on this single report. I have options as far as being able to print it off in a certain order. Maybe I'm running the report cards and I want to have them come off of the printer based upon the students grouped together by first hour. So there's a lot of control that I have when it comes to these reports. I can add a watermark. I'm going to add a confidential watermark because we're providing in this report a list of emergency contact information, and we feel that's confidential, so I'm going to make sure that that's a watermark on that report, and I'm going to go ahead and submit. Once I hit submit, it's going to take me to my reports queue where I can see the current report that's running, but also all of the reports that I've run over the past 3 months. So I can delete them if I know that I don't need them anymore, but it's convenient here so that if I decide that I want to pull up maybe a transcript that I ran a while ago, I can go ahead and pull up that transcript. And here's an example of what a transcript might look like in PowerSchool. And I do know that we've been working with the diocese to make sure that we have some of the reports provided for you. So this is an example of a transcript. This one does have the student's photo. It's a 2-column transcript, but anything that we have stored in PowerSchool on the student can be a part of that transcript, including high-stakes assessments, whatever those might be, cumulative GPAs, as well as class rank. Whatever we have stored in PowerSchool can appear on that transcript. So I'm going to close that transcript, and I'm going to go ahead and refresh and see if my report is complete. And sure enough, we have that emergency bus list. So I'm the secretary, and I'm going to go ahead and run that report and pull it up. And this is what I'm going to print off and hand to the bus driver. So it shows the photo of the student, any emergency contact information that we have on file for the student, as well as any medications. And this report is another example of one that is readily available on PowerSource and is shared by other people. So you can have access to this very report. It does have that confidential watermark on it. So I'm going to close that report. I've printed it off and I'm ready to go. Now when I go back to the start screen for PowerSchool, remember I searched for those football players. So at this point, it's time for me to go ahead and change their attendance. So another group function is to change their attendance in mass. And I'm going to go ahead and say that on the 19th, they're going to leave early for a football game. That is an A day, so we support multiple rotating days. That's an A day for us. And I can go ahead and set the code to maybe a field trip or whatever attendance code you have at the building level. I can determine, do I want to overwrite any codes that currently are stored for the student? Maybe some of these students have already been marked absent. Their parents have called in and they are going to be going to a doctor's appointment. Or I can decide to not overwrite. And that's what I'm going to do here. I can add an anecdotal note that's a part of that attendance code. The big game is where these students will be. And I can go ahead and hit submit, and it'll change the attendance for all 36 of those students who are football players. So if I go back to the start menu, and so I've run my report, I've marked those students absent, and I remember that it's time for me to check to see if they're eligible to play. So another thing that I would do as a secretary would be to go to search for grades and attendance. And based upon your policies for pay to play or for students to be eligible to play athletics or whatever activity they might be in. So it's going to remember my settings from the last time I was in here. My search is based upon any grade lower than a C-. I can include attendance in that search if I would like to, or a citizenship grade. I can search based upon the percentage within classes. And I'm going to go ahead and search historical or current grades. I'm going to leave this on historical. And then I have some other options as far as, do I want to display these students on the screen, which is the option that I'm going to select. And I'm going to hit submit. So we have 2 students. Each of them have 2 classes that they're performing poorly in. So I can see these students here on the screen in my main frame. And what I need to do is to make sure that the coach has the list of students and the classes they're struggling in. So throughout PowerSchool on the administrative portal, we have the print icon. And if I click on that icon, it allows me to print whatever is on my screen in an ad hoc report format. So I'm going to save it as a PDF. And we're going to go ahead and open that up. So I'm going to go to my screen here, and look at my downloads. And this is the report that I'm seeing that is exactly like what I saw on the screen with two changes. We've taken away the left-hand navigation and we've taken the top navigation away. So if I print this off, it allows me to hand that to the coach or whoever may need that list of students that I've found based upon low grades and attendance. So let's go back over to the administrative portal. Again, that same list. So if I go back to the start screen, now since I've done that search, my current selection are just those two students. So I may want to begin working with those two students that do have low grades. So that's a simple workflow that we have in PowerSchool. You can see how that would expand to other areas. That idea of finding a group of students and then deciding what to do with them is really core within PowerSchool. So some other areas that I'd like to show are the attendance. So if I'm the secretary that's in charge of attendance, I can come to my attendance function, that very top one on the upper left-hand corner, and it'll open up our attendance dashboard. And this will automatically appear. So this is our current attendance for today, the 17th. If I want to change and see what the attendance looked like yesterday, I can do that by using my calendar picker. And what I'm seeing currently are our students who have been marked absent at some point during the day today. If I want to move to the field trip category, these are the students who are on that field trip. So it allows me to move from one tile to another, unexcused absences, any tardy students, and the list of students will adjust on the bottom based upon the tile that I'm selecting. If I unselect all of those tiles, then I'm looking at all 60 students who have an attendance event so far today. So basically the way that this works is if I'm the attendance secretary, I'm going to be looking at the unexcused absences that the teachers entered, and I'm going to sort them by ascending or descending by first period. And I'm going to go ahead and make those phone calls home, click on the student's name, and modify their attendance for that day, and then move right down the list to the next one. There's the phone number that I need to call. I can click on the student or right-click and open in a new tab, and I can go ahead and modify that student's attendance. So it's a workflow within PowerSchool. These are our data visualizations, and we'll see them in a number of areas in PowerSchool, but it makes it very easy for me to interact with the data without knowing much about searching for students. Everything is right here on the screen. I'm going to close up that filter. A couple of other things that are on this screen. I can see any teachers who have not completed their attendance. Hopefully your teachers always mark attendance regularly. And but in our case, we only have 3% of our teachers, so if I click on that incomplete, it's going to show me that in our fictitious school district, we have a real problem with attendance. So if I could use the browser back button, and I'm back to that same attendance dashboard. If I wanted to export these students all in one mass, either in Excel, comma delineated, or a PDF file, I can do that as well. And this is just a way to get information out if I need to out of PowerSchool very easily. So that's the attendance dashboard. Another dashboard that we have is the at-risk dashboard. Again, that data visualization concept taken into another area. Here we're looking for at-risk students, so you configure this at a building level as to what you would consider at-risk based upon grades and attendance. And we have 2 students that are at red alert level. We have 1 that's at high, 5 that are at moderate, and 160 that are at some. And we're looking at it based upon the grade risk and attendance risk, and then we're combining that based upon the configuration for the building to an at-risk index. I'm going to close up my filter here so we can see this a little easier. So 5 moderate students and 160 some at-risk students. Now, in this case, I can paginate from one to the other, and this is true of every data visualization that we have. If I want to see all 160 students on one page, I can change the number of rows that are displaying, and now I'm seeing all 160 students on a single screen, which allows me to then start sorting by any of these columns. So if I want to sort ascending or descending by the grade level column or the grade at risk column, I can do just that. And again, I have that option to go ahead and select all. Maybe I want to remove a few students, and then at the very bottom I can go ahead and make them my current selection so that I can begin to work with those students, or I can just download that file. And let's say download it as an Excel spreadsheet and go ahead and open that up. And I can send this on to somebody if I need to. And this includes the student ID, the DC ID, as well as the student number, the name of the student, grade level, and then the different at-risk values that we're seeing. All right, so let's switch back. So that is a brief overview of the administrative portal. There is so much more that we can do in PowerSchool, but I just wanted to give you a flavor of how the administrative portal works. Again, that search is very simple and straightforward, but it can be very robust. The concept of finding a student or a group of students and then deciding what to do with them with our functions menu at the bottom right-hand side. So let's go ahead and log out as an administrator, and I'm going to log in as a teacher. So I'm a teacher as well, and I'm going to sign in to the teacher portal. And this is where your teachers are going to log in and interact with PowerSchool on a regular basis. So marking attendance on a period by period basis or on a daily basis if necessary. And then also opening up their grade book and